Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author with one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Stayce Wagner on the line, and she's founder and CEO over at Spencer Crane Etiquette. And she's also author of Modern Business Etiquette for Young and Fabulous Professionals. Stayce, welcome to the show.
Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Oh, my gosh, Stayce. So I have to be up front. I've done thousands of interviews, literally, and I was nervous to have you on the show today. Like, the first thing I was thinking is, oh, my gosh, I got to be on time because I have the etiquette lady on which I say affectionately, I have the etiquette lady that's coming on. I can't be like 10 minutes late, 5 minutes late. She's going to get me. Like, that's strike one with her. I'm sorry, I had to just let that off my chest.
Well, Adam, it's so funny because that's what I get a lot. Okay, so when people ask me what do you do, and I say I'm an etiquette lady, I get that reaction. But that's really the exact opposite of what I want to happen. So what I like to do is to tell people what I do by telling them what I don't do. And what I don't do is I don't judge, and I don't make you feel embarrassed because of what you did or didn't learn growing up. You know, I founded Spencer Crane Etiquette because I saw a need for these skills because they just weren't being taught. So what I do is that I help young professionals see the value of these skills, and then I help them to master the skills. Because when you master the skills, your confidence is boosted because you know what's expected of you, right? And then it boosts your credibility because you're doing what's expected of you. So it's not about being perfect. It's just understanding the value and then applying it to the best of your ability. So if you had shown up late for our call, it would have been okay.
Some of the other people that are listening to this right now that have been on the show are like, oh, he was late for me. I know exactly. No, I don't care. No. So, Stayce, I think this is also a great transition. So I want to go further into what you're doing over at Spencer Crane Etiquette. So tell us a little bit more about the business, please.
Well, my clients tend to be organizations and educational institutions. And I teach topics, everything from first impressions, dressing for success, small talk, email etiquette, voicemail etiquette, and of course I'm doing a lot of training today on how to present yourself virtually, since we're really, all of us, spending a lot of time conducting our meetings via video conferences, and we're all working from home a lot.
Yeah, I noticed that it's new. So the whole idea of more and more people adopting online, I think it's a trend that's going to continue. And based off of that trend, I know there's a lot of people listening to this right now that are, especially, I'll give you one quick example. So telemedicine, telehealth. Like, a lot of people, not saying all doctors, but many doctors would not have necessarily gone that route. But now, based on their, the hospital system or whatever they work in, now that's part of the services that are offered. So now they're part of that also. So that being said, these are new skills. And so the etiquette rules, this is a question, do they change? When you're going online, are the etiquette rules kind of the same? Where do you want to start with that one?
Well, everything's changed, Adam, because we're no longer shaking hands, right? We're making eye contact with our computer cameras instead of our clients and colleagues. And my favorite is that we're all dressing for work from the waist up. So everything's changed. And the work from home struggle is real. And I've got 3 tips to help you present yourself professionally and to make sure that you're still making a good impression.
That's awesome. We love tips over here on the show. So give us tip number 1. Come on, serve it up, Stayce.
All right. So tip number 1, look the part, right? Work from home. I see that acronym everywhere, WFH. It still means you're working, and impressions still matter. So if you're going to meet with your colleagues virtually, be sure that you are wearing a clean, wrinkle-free shirt that you would wear to an in-office meeting. But most of all, please, please, please wear pants that you won't be ashamed to be seen in should you need to stand up. Adam, I
didn't know if you were going to finish that sentence. I thought you were going to leave us hanging on wear pants.
I have unfortunately heard about more than a handful of poor souls who did not wear appropriate bottoms, and even in one case, bottoms. And they sit up, because you're easily distracted, right? We're working from home and we've got things going on. Our partners are likely at home. We may have kids, animals. Things come up. You may need to stand up and make adjustments to what's going on around you, and you're going to forget. So make sure, even if you're in a pair of sweatpants, make sure they're clean, neat, and appropriate. They won't cause you embarrassment. So that's number one. Look the part.
But those, I just have to tell you, before we go to number two, but that content has made for some of the best social media content ever. Watching this. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I had to, because I've seen some of those, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you come back from that?
You really can't, right? It's one of those things that will be remembered. You do your best, but that's the thing about first impressions. Experts tell us that they happen in the blink of an eye. They do. And they are lasting. It can take up to 6 months to undo an impression once it's formed. Up to 6 months. That's even if it's able to be undone, right? So you're going to have to work really hard to overcome that. So you don't want to find yourself in that position.
So wear pants. Got it. Give us tip number two.
All right. This one also is a no-brainer. Be on time. Sure, you're at home, but don't be tempted to show up late to your video conferences. I'm an overdoer, so I recommend that I recommend 2 hours before the meeting. Right? Make sure everything's working. Your connection's working. You have the right software, the right update. You don't want to find out 5 or 6 minutes before the conference starts that you need to upload. Everyone's using their Wi-Fi at home. Our systems are a little bit slower. So just make sure you're going to be able to show up on time. All right. Once you know that your systems are working, sure, you can go about your business and do other things, and then log in 5 to 6 minutes before the meeting is scheduled to begin. It's very simple. Being on time shows your teammates that you respect their time.
That's awesome. Love it. And now tip number three.
Tip number three is more about civility, and that is, let's go easy on one another. Give one another a little bit of grace. For a lot of us, this is new, and we're all learning, so we're going to make mistakes. So let's be patient with each other and be kind, because we know mistakes are going to happen.
No, totally. And I think one of the interesting things for me, just being, we've been an online company since inception here, but I worked in the finance space for a really long time, almost 14 years before being in media. Now I think we're 4 years as of this recording full time. And I can think about how, when I first started doing a lot of things online, because in finance we never did. It was, your suit and tie, you would sit behind a desk, all that good stuff, meet in person with clients, that was it. And so to switch from that to working with other colleagues and with people that worked for me who are in other cities, countries, the other co-founder, Shirag, he lives on the other side of LA, so that might as well be another country, because I'm not going to drive all the way over there to see it. So that being said, what are some things that people are going to think about in just kind of that human interaction component? So meaning how to kind of still build rapport in that relationship with people online that maybe aren't used to it. Because I know that was really difficult for me in the beginning. And I don't really remember what I did to kind of get through that etiquette-wise, because I was pretty stiff in the beginning. And the thing is, stiff to me online or virtual, it doesn't come across so well.
Well, the one thing you can do is to make sure that the person knows that you value them, you value their time. And because we're not face-to-face, the body language, they're not going to be able to see from your body language and your eye contact and all of that you care. So it's more with your actions. One thing I find that people forget is that because you're online, those interactions, those electronic interactions with technology means more. So for instance, the telephone. The telephone, we're making more phone calls now because we're working virtually. So remember that if you call your colleague and they don't answer their cell phone, or no one has a landline anymore, they don't answer their cell phone, don't just keep calling and hanging up. Leave a message, right? You can follow that up with a text, and then on the other end of that, if someone in your work world leaves a message, listen to it. These are things we're not used to doing, because when someone calls you, you can see they called. No one used to leave voicemails anymore, but sometimes in the course of business, we're so busy that we just need to do that. The other thing is answer your emails promptly. That's another thing that we haven't been doing a lot of. People don't like sending emails. You have to take the time now to make sure that your emails are short and to the point. Include a good call to action. What do you want this person who's taking time out of their day reading your email to do? Right? You just, so this lets the other person know that you value their time. So those are the types of things you can do. Also, the eye contact, a very, very important aspect of body language that we just don't have working virtually. We can practice simulating it by looking at the camera when you're speaking. Humans like looking at faces. So our tendency is to look at the faces on the Zoom grid, because that's what we're built to do. But actually, when you're talking, you need to look at the camera so the other person can feel as though you are connecting with them. The same thing if someone else is speaking. Don't multitask. Don't look at your don't look away. Don't work on your whatever's going on in your moleskin or your on your phone. Give that other person that attention that tells them, I see you, I value you, and what you have to say to me is important.
That's awesome. So Stacey, final question. So two-part question. So number one, your book, so Modern Business Etiquette for Young and Fabulous Professionals. So and then also, of course, your company, Spencer Crane Etiquette. So if somebody is looking to connect with both your company and your book, what are the right types of clients that are typically a good fit to work with you and your team, number one? And number two, what's the best way for them to reach out and to connect?
Okay. So my clients are organizations and educational institutions. So they hire me to come in and work with their young professionals, whether they are young people who are transitioning from school to work or who are already immersed in their early career years. But that's one set of clients. My other set of clients include the actual young professionals, and they buy my book. You can find the book at all major outlets, on Amazon. You can also access my book on my website. If an educational institutional organization is looking to connect with me, they can always go to my website, which is www.spencercrane.com. That's SPENCERCRANE.com. Also, feel free to send me an email at info@spencercrane.com. I can be found on Instagram and Facebook at Career Etiquette. That's CAREERETIQUETTE. And, of course, I'm on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Well, Stacey, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about what we need to know about business etiquette and virtual business etiquette also. So appreciate that. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Stacey, thanks again for coming on the show.